Good morning. You're listening to Central Wisconsin's 24-hour information station, WFHR. It's time now for the Morning Magazine.
Welcome, everyone, to Morning Magazine for this April 19th, 2023. Got your host, James J. Maloff, here at 10:05 on the clock. At 10:30, we're going to welcome in our friend Jacob Wagner, public health strategist with Wood County Health Department. I have a couple of different events to talk about with Jacob, the Take Back event, the community substance use engagement event we want to talk about with him. Right now, we have in studio with us our good friend, Mayor Shane Blaser, Wisconsin Rapids. Good morning, Shane.
Good morning, James.
Good to see you as always.
You too.
We got our friends from Wisconsin Rapids Community Media here as well. Taylor and the gang. Good to see you, Taylor. Shout out to all of them. Encourage you to follow follow our friends at Wisconsin Rapids Community Media. Type into your search bar Wisconsin Rapids Community Media. Their YouTube page should show up. Go ahead and like that page. Keep up with all the great things that they are doing over there. Sir, how you been?
I've been well. And how are you?
Good. Doing good over here. There's a couple of places I wanted to start and everything. The first thing I wanted to do was I wanted to do was ask an update about the jail, but really I just want to talk about it. Whether there's an update or not, I just find it fun and interesting. I drive past it at least once a day and seeing the construction, the cranes over there, the hard work that they are doing, and the great work that they are doing. It also feels like it's going, I don't want to say fast, but it definitely feels like it's going on pace. Is it?
Yeah, probably Sean's the best one to talk about it, because I'm sure he's very intimately involved. But, I also every day drive by there, and it's amazing when they bring in a new concrete panel. Because it's a formed panel, and they put it up, and it's just, but I keep thinking and reminding myself that the interior work is probably going to be all the wiring and all the, finishes. That's going to just take an astronomical amount of time, because I can't imagine the amount of wire that's got to be pulled in there. So working with our community development department, everything, we regularly meet with them. They do. And so, this sounds like everything's going very well, and there hasn't been any issues or problems that I've been made aware of. And it's, you see it on paper and you think, okay, this is a jail, but then when you start seeing it, it's going to be big.
Yeah, I mean, that's just it. I knew the designs. I knew how big it was going to be, but then you're seeing it like, okay, that is a lot bigger than I realized. I grew up in a construction family, and I feel like it's a world that I understand really well. And then I think about projects like that, like I've worked on a 2-story house. Like that's the biggest thing I've ever worked on. That kind of project like that, something that massive. When it comes to these bigger projects, is it traditional to get updates on the project for you to have meetings with said group and kind of get an update on, hey, how are things going? How are you guys schedule-wise, that kind of thing?
So it's more so with our community development department because our inspectors are involved in inspecting work. Yeah. And so they have more of a relationship and meetings with Ruben and everybody at the sheriff's department or the county. And so they kind of work more so on that, and I'm kept advised of any problems if there were any, but otherwise I don't kind of get intimately involved in some of those things.
You got enough on your plate, and this is the part of government that I really enjoy because I think sometimes it can get a little rough for people. I got to go through this person to this person to this person to get something done or whatever. But it's checks and balances. It's meant to be that way. It should be that way because you don't want just one overlord telling everybody everything to do and stuff. So I like that part of it. I also find it really interesting sometimes of how that works. I think it's also really helpful when it comes to politics nowadays because most of us, I know what a mayor is, but we don't know everything that a mayor is responsible for. Or I know what a state official is, or a congressman is, or a senator. But you ask your average person, okay, well, what are they in charge of? And they couldn't tell you a lot of that stuff. You mentioned Sean, Sheriff Becker. One of the things him and I really liked doing early on in our conversations was, he would have people all the time complaining about something. It's like, well, that's a local thing. I'm a county sheriff, understanding the differences of those things.
Yeah, and and sometimes we struggle too. So for the public, it's even a greater struggle. Yeah. But with this project, we have been in very open communication with the county committee, the sheriff, Ruben over there, and so this has been a great collaboration and how well we are working together, and that we can work together, two entities of government, because it's been very smooth, and we've worked through every little problem that might be. It's been easy. It's been easy, but it's obviously stressful. And I couldn't imagine at the county level that size of a borrowing, and it's a big undertaking. But it's multi-level, though. The $1 million that are spent a year to house out of county prisoners, and the amount of time it takes to transport people back and forth, and there's so many facets to the project that will help alleviate other issues, but. Yeah, it's going to be a project, though. It is big.
The economic impact is going to be noticeable within years, if not sooner, once the jail is up and running and everything. The safety part of this is huge, and I would think that even if there were no economic advantages to this, the safety part of this for our officers, for the clients in those buildings, is certainly noteworthy. It's important. It's part of what we become a dictatorship or something like that if we don't treat prisoners with justice, with treating them like human beings.
Respect.
And obviously, certainly need to keep our officers safe and those things. So that first and foremost is great about it. But I do, it is a needed point to bring up, and I don't know if we can bring it up enough about the economic impact it'll have. That's very important a part of this too. It's weird to be excited about a new jail. It doesn't seem like something that you would normally be excited about, but I don't know if this helps other people or not, but for me, when I was a kid and I'd see new buildings going up in Chicago or something like that, I always saw business. I saw dollar signs. I saw, that means our city's healthy. We've got businesses booming. We've got people that want to bring their businesses here and stuff. Something like this, it's the similar thing. I'm seeing dollar signs, the things that you mentioned there. I see safety. I see those things. I don't just see this added on to what have you, or it's blocking up this street or any of those things.
Yeah, and I also, think that the opportunities that the sheriff is going to have for the inmates there in programmings, mental health, GED, barely expand on that. The goal is obviously to hopefully that they don't come back. And so I think having those more program opportunities and having everybody in our county, in our facility where those could be, where he can work on those and have those available and hopefully keep people from coming back. And I think that's huge. But then also, like you said, in the construction, anytime you see a crane in the community, it's always a good thing, because it's a major project. And we haven't had a lot of cranes around for a while, and so it's always good to see a couple of them.
It's a good point. I appreciate that. I really appreciate you bringing up the programs. Mm-hmm. The first conversation Sean and I had was about stopping the revolving door.
Absolutely.
And how do we do that? And I did not know Sean when we first started talking about it, so I kind of thought I've dealt with law enforcement my whole life on the other side of the tracks, of course, but I know a little bit about that, and I'm like, I understand where he's probably going with this, but I didn't. I didn't understand Sean. I didn't know him that well, and I have since, of course. I consider him a friend now, but at the time, mental health was just beginning to be talked about, and we know now, we have the stats, we have the numbers for this and everything. We see that this is one of the quickest ways to stop that revolving door. It doesn't cure crime, of course, but it helps quite a bit. And, we're very thankful in this area to have people like him, to have a team like he has over there, to have our police department here in Rapids, all on this page of... We have to hold people accountable, and there's no slaps on the wrists here. You do something wrong, you got to pay for it. But why did you do something wrong? Instead of just slapping them on the wrists, asking questions, figuring out why. Right. These programs that are going to be available through the jail make our city safer, make our community better. These people, they turn their lives around, they start paying taxes, they get a job, they add to our economy. It all adds up. It's not, there's no handout here. This is for everybody. This is a rising tide raises all boats situation.
Yeah, and so these the people that are in the facility incarcerated, they'll have opportunities, and hopefully they'll take advantage of some of them because it's on them.
Yes.
They did what they did, and now it's on them if they want to choose a different path in life.
Yeah.
And, but they'll be there, and it's good to see that Sean's supporting that and making sure those are available and expanding those programs. And that's a great thing about our sheriff.
Recently, you had a press release out about city adopting the resolution to designate NomoMay. Yeah. So we get to give our lawnmowers a break for May. Correct. That's nice. That's fun.
Yeah. So this year we talked, and Wausau did this last year, is we had this whole registration sign thing. And this year we're foregoing the registration because there was hundreds of people, and it was quite an overwhelming task for Emily in my office, and then handing out signs. But we do have signs, so there's not a requirement to have a sign out. But if you wish to have a sign, we do have them, and they're available.
What is the public opinion that you've heard about this going from last year to this year? How has it differed, or has it differed?
Probably, people are very supportive of it, and they can actually now support it by not mowing. But, I think, people wish there would be one step further, like no chemical products on the lawn or, some of those things. But, I just think having this opportunity is a step, in that direction that at least people can kind of support, the pollinators and the bugs and all that. And, if you choose to put chemicals on your lawn, that's okay. It's just their choice. And, but so an opportunity not to mow is.
It gets a little frustrating sometimes when we make these big first steps, and it's awesome, and it's so hard to make that first step. And then you have this group of people that, but why didn't you run? why aren't you running and everything? Like, well, I don't know if you know how this works, but maybe you were a baby at one point and you didn't just start running right away. You had to crawl before you could do that. Everything takes time, especially for people out there who don't want to do this or don't understand the benefits of it. We can't push things on people. I'm not a big fan of that. Like, I'm one of the most patriotic people you'll ever meet, but I don't like forced patriotism.
You can't.
I don't like that kind of thing, and I don't think that's going to help anybody. That there is some city designated spots I wanted to mention to people. I see that 20th Street from 2 Mile Avenue to Griffith Avenue, that is a designated spot that will be unmowed. 16th Street from 2 Mile Avenue to Coon Avenue. Whitrock Avenue between 16th Street and 20th Street. Around the Stormwater Pond on 16th Street and 2 Mile Avenue. It's a great spot. I love that area. And Robinson Park, the ball fields and spectator areas will be mowed. And Sandlot Park, ball fields and spectator areas will be mowed. Shout out to Robinson Park, one of my favorite places in this whole city. My old stomping grounds over there.
Mine too.
Yeah. Also, I didn't know that.
I grew up down the road there. Yeah, we used to the neighborhood guys and I used to always go sledding there when there's a big hill there. And
I'm pretty sure first home run I ever hit was on that second ballpark, the second one they built, like secondary and everything. Yep. Oh, I love that place.
Yeah, that's a great
spot. The goal of NomoMay is to provide early season forage for native pollinators by reducing or mowing intensity during a month when foraging resources are limited. This is a great opportunity to help out our environment, which is kind of important here in Wisconsin, as agriculture is one of our biggest resources and everything.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And it's just also a chance to I think as the other part of this that I find really cool is strangers finding commonality. You got families around here that may have never even seen each other and knew they were living in the same town, and like, oh, they got a NomoMay sign too. Like, oh, they're doing it too, and finding some commonality there. That's kind of cool.
I've seen that in Point. You'll see a sign or something like that, and you're like, okay. There's commonality amongst communities.
Yeah.
And, if you don't want to participate, that's your choice, which is just fine. And if you want to participate, here's an opportunity.
You can learn more about NomoMay, the initiative, at wirapids.org/NomoMay. You can go to wirapids.org to get a lot of the information that the mayor and I are talking about today. Really exciting news I found. Another press release that just came out a couple days ago, came out yesterday. The Arbor Day Foundation names Wisconsin Rapids Tree City, USA. What does this mean? What is this?
We've been a tree city for as long as I ever think back. And, and obviously in Wisconsin Rapids and the surrounding area, we have been a big proponent of our forest products and our forest industries and our trees. And we plant a lot of trees. And so we are definitely a tree-friendly city, and we highly encourage tree planting. It's Wisconsin.
It's Wisconsin. I mean, that alone. This is another one of those things where, as a city boy, I've grown to, like, as I've gotten older and older, appreciate nature more and more and want to be in nature more and more. And I feel silly when I say it, but my favorite part of nature is trees. I love trees. I think they're cool. I think they're interesting. There's so many different varieties. I didn't grow up around trees, so I didn't get to climb trees when I was a little kid and stuff. So now as an adult, I just find them really awesome and interesting. They're also obviously the huge benefits they have. I'm not sure if I'm breaking news to anybody, but trees kick off oxygen. Oxygen's pretty good. I don't know if it's a controversial thing or not, but I'm a big fan of oxygen. That alone seems like a pretty good reason to support trees. Obviously, we are a paper state. We are a paper country, but we're a paper state that produces a lot of paper, so we appreciate trees for that. So many other things, but what does it mean to be a tree city? Well, is there any definition to that? Is there any, or is it just something that's really cool to be able to promote and support our community, which is fine too?
We put up too, but yeah, there's certain criteria that you need to meet, and I don't know specifically off my hand. Our Park and Rec department takes care of that.
Yeah.
And but yeah, it's really about supporting trees, planting trees, and recognizing trees and their importance of trees.
Yeah, a nice opportunity too with Arbor Day around the corner and stuff to be able to celebrate that. It's the recognition by meetings and programs. They have 4 requirements: maintaining a tree board of department, having a tree care ordinance, dedicated an annual community forestry budget of at least $2 per capita, and hosting an Arbor Day observance and proclamation. So certainly things that we do around here.
Our Park and Rec department was just trained, so they are able to, with the emerald ash borer, they're able to treat trees in our parks and our public spaces. And so this year they will be doing treatments of that. And, I think now, though, as we've seen over time with different species of trees, and they've had their issues, it seems like communities will plant trees, the same varieties. And so now we're trying to focus more on planting a different variety of trees. So if there is the newest bug or newest disease that hits a tree, it won't wipe out all of our public space trees. So it's really about now creating a variety of trees out there.
That's interesting. I didn't know that part of it. That's a really I find that really interesting. I got to look more into that, because that's something that I think has a lot of layers to it, I would imagine.
It does. Yeah.
You brought this to our attention today, sir, and I thought we'd take some time talking about it, the cultural assets, this cultural coalition that is going on.
Yeah, so my assistant in my office, everybody knows Emily, and Emily is very passionate about this group. She's kind of put together, and there's been some meetings. We had a thing at the library, and so now there's a forum that's going to be taking place on April 25th. From 6 to 8 at the library, and it's free to the public. And they have, they're going to have taste of different culture foods, meet other people of other cultures, and there's going to be a panelist discussion and a scavenger hunt and just all kinds of things. There's going to be limited childcare there, so if you have kids, kids are welcome. But yeah, it's just a great opportunity to learn about other cultures, because we have some diverse culture here, which is great. And, if you take time to get to know some of these other cultures and some of their history and some of their ceremony, and, it's interesting, as all of us have that in our backgrounds, no matter where we're originally from.
Every culture is unique, awesome, and wonderful, and should be celebrated. And when it comes to an area like ours, my old stomping grounds, I grew up around the United Nations. I mean, Chicago, you got Little Italy, Little Chinatown, you've got all these different things, and it's all I knew growing up. The foods, the cultures, learning about other cultures, and all those things. I come out here, and I stood out like a sore thumb. There weren't a lot of kids that looked like me. There weren't a lot of Jewish, Italian, Egyptian kids walking around and everything. For a while there, that was difficult, but then I had teachers really help me. They would, every year during Hanukkah, I would go up in front of the class and explain what Hanukkah was to kids, because most of them had never met a Jewish kid, let alone knew what these were and stuff. And after every time, I would get people asking me questions about it and stuff. And as a kid, I was a little, what it's like to be a kid. These things make you uncomfortable and you don't like doing it or whatever. But for on one side of it, I think it's part of what led me to this job of doing public speaking and everything. But also it helped me understand that there were kids growing up that would pick on me about my hair or this or that. After those little, meeting or those little things I would do, speeches or whatever you want to call them, I would have questions, and then it was like, okay, I'm getting picked on their team. Like they're picking me for football or something like that, and we become friends and we're okay. And I realized more and more, and I think this is pretty understandable, that most of our fears or most of our unlikes stem from unknowing. And you take you maybe go to one of these, or you go to all of these discussions, and you learn a little bit more about another culture. You learn a little bit more about another person. It's not to say that you're going to like or fall in love with that culture or anything, but just understanding it can decrease hate. A lot of hate comes from misunderstanding. A lot of hate comes from unanswered questions. You get those questions answered, and maybe we can get to a point in society where if we don't like each other, it's because somebody's a jerk. And just because of that, not because of the color of their skin or who they pray to or any of these things. We are so lucky in this town, in this area of central Wisconsin. We're a melting pot, and there's not a whole ton of rural areas that have that throughout our country. We've been fortunate to bring a lot of immigrants in. We've been fortunate to have a lot of just already built-in different ethnicities. If you go back to European settlers in this area, German, Polish, all this, even that is very unique. There's so much beautiful culture in this area.
Yeah, I always, we're all Caucasian, I guess, not all of us, but that doesn't mean that's our history and our heritage.
Yeah.
I grew up a very strong Norwegian and eating lefse my grandma made, and things that other cultures and other people haven't had, and so we are unique, even though we may be quote the same color, but we all have different heritage.
Oh yeah.
But I always say it's food. No matter what culture you're from or your heritage, they all have their own food, and that's something we all enjoy. And that's what I really enjoy about multicultural is be able to try different foods. Where things that are common in that culture is something I may have never experienced, and it's always fun to try. And I obviously I love food, so
I got yelled at by this older Greek gentleman when I was a kid, and I had an issue for a little while there with being around Greek things and Greek people and stuff because I was afraid I'd get in trouble or whatever. My dad takes me to this gyro shop, and the guy's cutting the lamb right in front of you and everything, and we're talking and stuff. I leave there. I not only love gyros, but I love Greek people. I love Greek culture. I think it's awesome and interesting and stuff. Like it to your point, food brought me to this. Food brought me in. The gyro brought me into this and everything. It's whatever it takes. Sometimes it's food. It's music. Sometimes
absolutely.
It brings us together, and it shows how we have more in common than not. There is no creed, no culture, no matter who you are or what you are. You have more in common with that other, that person that you think is on the other end of the spectrum than you do not. It brings us closer together. It shows how we're connected.
Absolutely.
These are taking place in McMillan Library on April 25th from 6 to 8. The first session will be at 6, welcoming in the Fine Arts Center. 6:15 will be the local panel discussion, Fine Arts Center. 6:55 around there, they'll take a break and then come back with the social hour and scavenger hunt at the all-purpose room. You had me at scavenger hunt. There needs to be more adult scavenger hunts. They're just fun. And it's very cool to bring all these cultures together, to bring all this information to one place. I appreciate your assist. I appreciate Emily for a lot of reasons. This is really cool, too.
Yeah, she's very passionate about this, and I highly support it. And even this weekend, we're celebrating the 1 year Hmong association group in town, and so there's going to be a celebration on Saturday for that, so I'm looking forward to that and celebrating that with the Hmong heritage people.
I like having more and more of these things, not just in our society, but in that we can get out there to the rest of the world. I'd like the rest of the country to realize how much of a melting pot Wisconsin is and how open Wisconsin is to cultures and things. We need more of that. It's really cool to see. I wanted to wrap up just reminding the audience about the tornado tests that are going to be going on tomorrow, especially for anybody out there that may not be aware of them. We don't want you being freaked out or anything like that, and going through it like, wait a minute, what happened in school? What do we do in school again? Where's the desk? I need a little kid's desk that I can get under. Otherwise, I'm not going to be safe. The Wisconsin Emergency Management and National Weather Service are conducting a statewide tornado drill tomorrow at 1:45 and at 6:45. This is part of the annual Tornado and Severe Weather Awareness Week that wraps up this Friday. So keep that in mind, everybody, and spread the word just in case there there are people out there that I can't imagine anybody doesn't listen to us, but I'm joking. Please do spread the word about this and make sure that our community is informed.
Absolutely.
Mayor, if is there anything else you wanted to touch on before we let you go?
No, I think I know people who are unaware or aware, but Lincoln High School had an open house on Sunday.
Yes.
I wasn't able to attend, but I saw a number of pictures, and our school superintendent and the school board have done amazing remodeling jobs to make our schools safer. But yeah, if you can find online on Facebook, what they created at Lincoln High School is absolutely amazing. Yeah. And yeah, what a showcase, and
a little jealous.
Impressive. Yeah, they did an amazing job over there, and our schools are more safer because of it. But they have enhanced, the appearance of it, and it's really neat. And I like the colored lights I drive by at night, and it just looks sharp.
It really does, yeah. Always good to talk to you, Shane. Thanks so much for being here with us today.
Thanks, James.
And of course, a big thank you to Taylor and our friends over at Wisconsin Rapids Community Media. I encourage you to support all that they do. Great work that they do. Support it. We'll take a break. We'll come back and have some more fun on Morning Magazine at WFHR, locally grown radio.